So now I'm trying to insert a record into this employee table. Employee ID1. His name is A. Last name is B. Okay. So this is the simple syntax to create a table and to insert a record. And if you want to confirm, if you want to check that, okay, the record has been inserted successfully or not, then we have to select a star from. We have discussed all those things. Okay. Hope everything is clear so far. So you can see that, okay, this record has been inserted. Employee ID1, first name A, last name B. So simple. Okay. Now, this part will come here. So from the second example, I have second record 2. First name is suppose C and last name is null. You can see I mentioned null here. And let me enter this record. So I'm getting error message. What is that? Cannot insert null. SQL engine is telling me that I cannot insert null. Okay, fine. Where you cannot insert null. So SQL engine is telling that in your employee table and in the last name column, right? SQL engine is telling that in your employee table, there is a last name column. There I cannot insert null values. Okay, why? What is the reason? Anyone who can tell me why it is not accepting null values in the last name column?
In the creation table, we define the last name as not null.
Oh, okay. Perfect, perfect. Because while creating this table, okay, while creating this employee table, I have explicitly mentioned here, you can see that, okay, last name not null. It means if someone is trying to insert null record in this, please don't accept it. That is the meaning of this, not null. You might have observed that when you are filling a form, okay, any form, you will see that some red color will be there on the form. Have you noticed one red in the different columns? A small red color star will be there. What is the meaning of that? Anyone who has noticed that?
Compulsory.
Sorry?
Mandatory fields.
Mandatory fields. Ah, correct. If you will leave that blank and if you're trying to submit the form, it will throw error message that, okay, this is mandatory column. So like that, here I'm trying to insert null record in this last name column. Then it is throwing me error message that SQL is telling me that I cannot insert null. Okay, where you cannot insert? The SQL is telling that you have a table employee and in that we have a column last name. Here I cannot insert null. Okay, fine. Why? Because while creating table, I have mentioned this rule, and this is also known as constraint, that please don't accept null values. So that is what when I was trying to insert null in this last name, it has thrown this error message. Is this clear? Any question? Any question, please? Now, this is a new record which I am trying to insert. Again, same message. Cannot insert null. Where? Employee.employee ID. That is saying that I cannot insert null in this employee.employee ID. Why? Who will tell me why?
Primary key.
Okay, fine. See, here I'm trying to insert null value. In which column?
Employee ID.
Employee ID. Very good. But here after employee ID, I have not mentioned anything that accept null or don't accept null. If you have not mentioned anything, so it means it can accept null values. If you have explicitly mentioned not null, then it will not accept any null values. Is this clear? So here after employee ID, I have not mentioned anything, then it should accept null values. Okay. So here I was trying to insert null values. Even then it is throwing error message that I cannot insert null into this employee ID column. Now, what is the reason? The reason is here I have made this employee ID as a primary key. Okay, before this, let's try to understand what is a primary key. Anyone who can tell me what is a primary key? What is a primary key? Who will tell? Okay, can you give me some example of primary key from your day-to-day activity?
It is the unique key in the column.
Unique key, okay. Any example? Yeah, a lot of examples you have. Think and tell me.
ID number.
ID number. Which ID number?
Any other Aadhaar card ID number.
Oh,
employer ID.
perfect. Aadhaar number. Correct, no? Have you seen two Indians having same Aadhaar number? Is it possible? Yes or no?
No.
No.
No. Have you seen any Aadhaar number, Aadhaar card, that Aadhaar number is not mentioned, blank? Have you seen? Is it possible? Yes or no, guys?
No.
No. So this Aadhaar number is a very good example of your primary key because this is unique. If any key is primary, so it should have two features. The first thing is it should be unique, okay, and second, it should not be blank or null. Then only you can tell that okay, this key is a primary key. The example is Aadhaar card. Okay, so Aadhaar number on Aadhaar card, no two Indians will be having same Aadhaar number. Have you seen anyone that okay, this two person is having same Aadhaar number? Not possible, right? Similarly, any Aadhaar card, it will not be, Aadhaar number will not be blank. It must be there. So that is what Aadhaar number is your primary key. Any other example apart from Aadhaar number?
The ATM or CVV of your card.
CVV, maybe the other bank, they have issued the same as CVV. That is possible. Suppose my CVV is 065 from ICICI Bank. Someone else is holding Axis Bank. It is possible that a CVV can be same.
Account number.
Account number.
Particular to that bank only.
Particular to that bank. Okay. That is also correct. Fine. If my account number of ICICI, so no other customer will be having same account number. That is correct. Okay. Any other? Come on, guys, please. Quick. We don't have much time. You have a lot of examples here. Think and tell me.
Account number, yeah. Then PAN card number. Employer
Perfect. PAN card number. Your passport number.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Your employee ID in your organization. Correct? So these are the example of your primary key. Why? Because all these examples satisfy these two conditions. Tell me all your PAN card number. Your PAN card number will be unique to you only. Is it possible that two Indians can have the same PAN card number? No, it is not possible. So it means the PAN card number is always unique. Correct? That is not duplicate. That is what. And PAN card number is not having any blank or null values. So that is why these all are the perfect example for a primary key. Okay. Now I'm giving you one data ID. Suppose this is a column ID column 1, 2, 3, 4. Tell me, can you tell that ID is a primary key here?
Yeah.
Clear? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, second example, ID 1, 2, 2, 3. Is it a primary key?
No.
No.
Why?
Duplicate is there.
We have 2 is coming 2 times. It is a duplicate, right? That is why you cannot tell that ID is a primary key. Someone is asking why, then you can tell that, okay, primary key, it should be unique. It should not be duplicate. So here 2 employees are having the same employee ID. So that is why we cannot tell that ID is a primary key, correct? Can you tell me anyone who has worked on ETL or data warehouse? In which scenario, ID will be a primary key, but you'll be having duplicate records. And even then you will consider that as a primary key. Anyone? In ETL, there's a transformation logic. Okay. Fine. I think you have not studied. Then in those who know the concept of SCD type 2. So there, if you know that you are going to maintain history, and in that automatically the same ID will repeat. And in that case, you go for surrogate key. That is what I'm just about to cover. Okay. Now, next example, ID 1, 2, 3. Can I tell this column as a primary key?
No,
No. Why?
there's a blank value.
There is a blank or null value. That is why you cannot tell this as a primary key. So hope primary key is clear now, guys.
Yeah.
Clear? Okay. Can I tell this first name column is a primary key?
Yes.
Yes. Check both the conditions. All the values are unique. A, B, C, D. Right. No duplicates are there. No blanks are there. So we can tell that, okay, first name column is a primary key. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Prasad, now, can you tell me, is this a primary key? First name?
No,
No. Why?
the D is duplicated here.
D is duplicate. So because of this, now first name is not a candidate for primary key. Hope this is clear to everyone. Okay. Fine. Then after this, suppose I have another column, second name, B, C, D, E, F. Sorry. Okay. 1 minute, guys. Now, is second name column a primary key? Only second name I'm talking about. Second name. Is this a primary key?
No,
No. Why?
because A is duplicate.
E is duplicate. Very good. Now, suppose this is an employee table. This is an employee table, and this table I have this two column, first name and second name. Perfect. Now I have to create a primary key here, but if I'm checking the conditions, the first name doesn't satisfy the condition because we have duplicate. Second name is also not satisfying the condition because here we have duplicate. E is coming twice. Okay. In those cases where a single column is not satisfying all the rules of a primary key, then you have to take the help of two columns. Okay. Now tell me, if I'll take the combination of first name and second name, will it be a primary key? AB. Do you have any other AB in this table?
No.
Take the combination of this. This will become AB, and then this will become BC. This will become CE. This will become DE, DG. Okay. Now, do you think this combination is unique?
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone, is it clear? Chirantan, is it clear?
Yes.
This combination is unique. Okay. So that is why when the single column is not satisfying all the rules of a primary key, okay, in that case, you have to take the help of two columns. Okay. And then you have to check that, okay, now the combination is satisfying all the rules or not. First is unique key. It is unique. Okay. AB is unique. AB is not repeating here. BC is not repeating. CE is not repeating. No blanks are there. No nulls are there. So now you can tell that, okay, now we have a primary key. Okay, so what is the primary key now? We have to tell that, okay, we have combination of first name and second name, correct? So now this is the primary key. And when you are taking the combination of two keys as a primary key, then it is known as composite primary key. Okay. So this will be known as not primary key, but composite. So your composite primary key is a combination of first name and second name. Okay. Any question, guys? Is it clear or not?
Yes.
Clear? Any question on this? No questions. Okay. So fine. So this was all about your primary key and composite primary key. Now the question is, suppose Tanvir, even I'm taking the combination of first name and second name, and suppose the values are repeating, then what I will do? Suppose this is DE, and again this is also again E. So this will become DE. In that case, now can you tell that this is a primary key or composite primary key? We cannot tell, right? Because you can see this DE value is duplicate, correct? No. So in that case, again, you have to take the help of third column. Are you getting the point? Then you have to search for third column. That okay, which one I have to take so that it become a composite primary key. Okay. This is exactly same as your elections. Okay. You know, like when elections happens, so 2 or 3 parties, they will join together and then they will try to reach that number 270 or 275, something like that, and then they'll make a government. So it is like that only. If the single party is not satisfying all the conditions, or the single column is not satisfying all the conditions, 2 columns, they will merge, they will join, and then they will create a composite primary key. And that's what we have mentioned here. Final call. Any question, guys? Hello, is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. This is clear. Okay, now next example. ID, name, 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D. Okay, I have this table, new table. Okay, suppose this is some student table, and these two are the columns. These two are the columns. Which column is a primary key here? ID or name?
Both.
Both. Okay.
In this
Okay.
case.
In this case, okay. In this case, ID and name, they both are primary key. Is this correct? Anyone who is having some other thought? You all agree that ID and name, they both are a candidate for primary key? Everyone?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now, in a table, you should have only one primary key. Okay, in a table, you should have only one primary key. So out of this ID and name, which one you will go for to make a primary key?
ID.
ID. Okay, why ID? Why not name?
Name can be repeated by.
No, just consider.
They can be two name. They can be same name. The person, the student can be have two. Two students have same name, right? So
Correct.
ID will be different only.
Okay, fine. You are correct that maybe it is possible that down the line there will be a new student who is having name can be same. Suppose a new student with the name A admitted to the school, but ID will be different. That's what this is what we're telling, right? So name can be same, it's possible, but ID will be different. That is why I will go for ID. This is what you are telling, Pratish, right?
Yeah.
So ignore this scenario. Okay, just concentrate. If I'm talking only about this 4 records, that no, you have only 4 records. Okay, don't think about that future what will happen. Only 4 records you have as of now. Then which one you will prefer, ID or name? Come on, guys. Yeah.
We can take the combination to be more unique.
No, but if single party is having 275 or that seat, why it will make combination, right? See, when first of all, you have to look for a single column, okay? Single column. If that is satisfying the conditions of a primary key, then you can make that as a primary key. But here the confusion is we have two columns and they both are satisfying this condition, right? Suppose you are interviewing someone and both the candidates are great, okay? They have good knowledge of SQL, database, everything. Then you have to select only one. Then you will decide some other parameter, correct? Correct, no? It happens, right? You will go for some other parameter.
Yeah.
So here ID and name, they both are satisfying the conditions. Then what else? Which one shall I go for? Shall I make ID as a primary key? Or shall I make name as a primary key? So in that case, it is suggested to make numeric columns, integer columns as a primary key. So your integer column is ID. So your ID should be a primary key. And the reason for this is always make it a habit. Always your primary key must be numeric columns. If in your table, in your project, if the name column or the characters, strings are primary key, then you please check in your team with your team lead or those who are working that why you are making this character or string columns the primary key. Okay, because this is not a good habit or good practice, because this will impact the performance. This will impact the performance of the table. That is why it is suggested always create ID or numeric columns, okay, integer columns as a primary. That will be having very good impact on the performance. That will increase the performance whenever we are writing a query. Hope this is clear. Guys, please, yes or no? Is it clear or not? Or you want me to repeat anything?
Yeah, clear.
Clear. Anyone who wants to repeat? Dhania, is it clear to you?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. So guys, this were very important concepts of primary key. If you're working on SQL or database, you should know this basic concepts actually. Okay. Then you have a concept of surrogate key. We will discuss that at a later point of time. Now coming back to our query part. So here you see, I was trying to insert null in this highlighted query. I am trying to insert null, right? In which column I am trying to insert null? Employee ID, correct? And I got this error message, cannot insert null into employee ID. Why? Because employee ID is the primary key. So now go back to your Excel sheet. Here I have mentioned that if it's a primary key, so null should not be there, correct? No, null should not be there. And here I was trying to insert null records. That is why it has thrown this error message. Now you can ask me a question that is fine, Tanvir, but employee ID you have not mentioned not null here. Then why just throwing this error message? Fine, I have not mentioned not null, but I have mentioned primary key, no? So if you have mentioned primary key, so by default, you are mentioning it as a not null. That is why this is throwing this error message. Hope this is clear.
Yeah. Tell me one question here. You have mentioned in the table structure, you have mentioned the employee ID number. Beside that, we can mention the primary key also, or it is necessary to mention separately in the line number 6.
Correct. Here as well, you can mention PK. I think in Microsoft SQL Server, it accepts in that way. Okay, you can mention there as well, but you can create like this as well. I think in Microsoft SQL Server, you have to just write PK, something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. Guys, please think about some questions, okay, and ask questions. Whenever you will start thinking, no, so new scenarios will come. Okay, perfect. And now the next thing is just a minute, hold on. Okay, so we have seen the scenarios that we have. Okay, and these are known as constraints. Okay, if in your project someone is telling you that, okay, please check the constraints. Okay, sorry, one more thing. Whenever you are creating a table, you have created this table, and then if you remember, like yesterday we have seen the structure of this table, like the table has been greater than not, and then we have seen that we have this DSC, describe command, describe the table name, and if you will click on run, okay, you can see the structure. And yesterday I have told you that, okay, please check all the columns are there or not. That okay, employee ID is present here, first name is present, last name is here. That is fine. Okay, these 3 columns are there. And then data type number, this is number, varchar 250, varchar 250, varchar 25, varchar 25. This is also fine. Then yesterday I told you that, okay, please ignore this null, what this is all about. Please ignore that. But now this question is to you guys. Tell me why this is telling you not null here in front of employee ID. What is the meaning of this?
It's a primary key.
Primary key. So you have mentioned that employee ID is a primary key. So by default, if you're mentioning any column as a primary key, so it will be having not null constraint. And that is why this not null constraint is coming here. Is it clear? Then why not null is coming in front of first name? Again, because we have explicitly mentioned first name is not null, correct? That is why again last name not null is coming here. So this is known as sanity testing as smoke testing as well. So once when you are going to start testing, those who are from testing background, okay, so whenever you are going to start testing, and development team, they have deployed the code that, okay, data table, the structure is ready, data has been loaded, please start your testing. So first of all, you should test all these things. Okay, the very common interview question that, okay, first of all, what you will test. So first of all, you should check the table structure. If the column is not correct, suppose in FRD or mapping specification, it is mentioned 4 columns, okay, and that development team, they have added only 3 columns. So this is the defect. You should not start your testing. That is what this is known as smoke testing. That first of all, just check the very high level things. The structure is intact or not. Okay, fine. So if you want to see the structure, you can use this DSC command and the table name, and this will give you the structure. Okay. Now, one new scenario. I am trying to insert a record. ID is 1 CC. Okay. Tell me, if I will run this query, what will happen? Come on, guys. Who will tell? Who wants to go first?
It will throw error
It will throw error. Why?
because we already have a one and the employee ID one entry in our table already. So
Okay.
it will not accept the second entry same.
Okay. Any other thought? Is it correct? Is the logic correct what Pritesh has told? Anyone who wants to cross it? No. Okay. Let me run this. We got error message. Unique constraint violated. Correct. Unique constraint is violated because in employee ID you have already employee ID 1 is present. Again, you are trying to insert one new record with employee ID 1. So it is like, and you have mentioned that employee ID is a primary key. So you cannot insert duplicate records. That is what it is telling, that unique constraint you are violating. You are breaking the unique constraint rule. Okay. Hope this is clear now. So let me change the ID to AC. Now, if I will run this, then what will happen? Come on, guys, who will tell me? If I will run this now, then no idea.
No issue.
Record will be inserted.
Yeah.
Record is inserted. Okay. But now I have a question. Here in the employee ID, when I was trying to insert a record with ID 1, right? Right now I have shown you that I was trying to insert a record with ID 1. It has thrown error message that unique constraint is violated. But in first name, you can see duplicate record is there. We have 2 records with the same first name A. Why it has accepted this? An employee ID, it has thrown error message.
It is satisfied primary constraint as well as the not null. Both conditions are met. That's why it is inserted.
Can you repeat? Can you repeat once again? Prasad?
The first primary constraint, primary key constraint is satisfied because so one is different from the two.
Okay.
As employer record.
Correct,
So
correct.
second constraint is it should be not null.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't mention unique. So,
Mm-hmm.
so not null
Okay.
means the duplicate can be allowed.
Perfect, perfect. Very good. Because employee ID, I have mentioned primary key. So if you are mentioning primary key, so by default, two rules will be imposed on this. The first is it should not be duplicate. And the second is, what is second, guys? What is
Should not
second?
have null value.
It should not have null values. So that is what employee ID was not taking that one. Whenever I'm trying to insert ID one, it was not accepting it. But in first name, I have just mentioned not null. This is the only condition. If I'm trying to insert duplicates, it will accept it because there's only one condition, not null. Correct, no? So even if you're trying to insert duplicate, it will accept it. Okay. So hope you all have understood the concept of primary key and this constraints. Any question? Okay, no questions. Okay. I'm trying to create an employee table. Oh, I'm getting this error message. Why?
Will exist.
Table already exists. So what to do now? But I want to create this table.
Drop.
What to do now? I have to
Drop
drop the earlier table. Drop employee. Drop table employee. Text. Correct, table dropped. Okay. So now I'm trying to create a table employee. Okay. Now please listen carefully, and I will see who is going to give me the answer for this. What is the meaning of this last line? Come on, guys.
Use first name and last name as primary key.
Perfect, perfect, very good. So this is which key? Then what is the name of this key? We have discussed on that Excel sheet.
Composite primary key.
Composite primary key. Perfect, well done. So this is a good example of composite primary key. So here my requirement is, that, okay, the combination of first name and last name should be a primary key here. Okay, but here I have mentioned that, okay, the only one column, employee ID, I want this to be primary key. Let's see this. Now you guys have to tell me. I am inserting record with multiple scenarios, and you have to tell me what to do with output. Okay, if I will run this, what will happen? Quick, guys, we don't have much time. Quick.
It will get inserted.
Data will be inserted. Okay, let me check. Okay, one way inserted. Try this. Start from employee. Record is inserted. Very good. Get this one. Now, if I will execute this, then what will happen?
Record will
Inserted, but here employee ID is duplicate. No, already employee ID 1 is present. Again, I'm trying to insert record 1. It should throw error message, right?
It will look a combination of both the column.
No, I'm talking only about employee ID. Here, employee ID 1 is already present in the table we have inserted. Now, again, I'm trying to insert a record with employee ID 1. Don't you think this is duplicate and this will throw an error message?
Because taking the combination.
It will look.
No, I'm concentrating only on this first column, employee ID. Forget about this first and the last name. Okay, just concentrating on this. Already we have a record with employee ID 1 in this table, right? Again, I'm trying to insert this record, and in this record you can see employee ID is again 1. So my question is, already we have an employee ID 1 present in the table, right? Right now, I have shown that we have an employee ID 1. Now, again, if I'm trying to insert this ID 1 through this query, will it accept or it will throw error?
No, it's not a primary key anymore.
Okay, so you mean it will accept it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But in this example, when I was trying to insert one, it was throwing error message that a unique constraint violated. Then how here it can accept it? What is the reason? First of all, are you guys getting my question?
Primary key.
Because here I have mentioned that this employee ID is a primary key, correct? That is when we are trying to insert duplicate records, was throwing error message that unique constraint violated, correct? But here I have not mentioned that employee ID is a primary key or not. So even if you're trying to insert duplicate records, this will not throw any error message. Okay, record has been inserted. You want to verify, you can check from here. Do you have duplicate unique ID, employee ID?
Yeah.
Okay, why it has accepted this?
It's not a primary key.
It's not a primary key. Here I am not mentioned that employee ID is a primary key. But in this case, explicitly I have mentioned that my employee ID is a primary key, and that is why if you're trying to insert duplicate IDs, it was throwing error message. Okay, fine. Now, guys, is this complex concept or is it simple? Oh, you are confused. It is complex or simple? Okay. Now, if I'm trying to insert this record, what will happen? Who will tell me?
It will throw error.
It will throw an error now.
Throw error. Very good. Why? What is the reason?
Because we are creating the primary key with first and last, and there is duplicate.
Perfect. Very good. Because here the primary key is a combination of first name and last name. So first name, last name, B and C is already present in the table. Now you are again trying to insert B and C. That is why they should throw an error message. Okay, let me check it. Oh, unique constraint violated. Is it clear now?
Yeah.
Clear. Okay. Okay. So. What about this? If I will insert this record, then what will happen? Who will tell me?
That will get inserted.
That will get inserted, but the first name is getting repeated. No, here first name is B. Again, the first name B is coming here. So don't you think this will throw error message? Come on, you know the answer. Just think and tell me.
No. Why? Because only both two columns only same, and then only it violate.
Correct. Because now we are bothered about the combination, because now I have to check the combination of first name and last name, because this is primary key, right? So if you check the combination of first name and last name, so here it is BC, right? And here it will be BD. Now BC and BD, they both are same? No, they are different. So if you're trying to insert this BD, this will not throw error message, it will accept it, because now we are concentrating on the combination. Is it clear, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's have one more example, the last one. No. Okay, I'm trying to insert this record. What will happen? Come on, tell me. It will be inserted. It will be inserted. Okay, but you can see this D is repeated. Here we have D, and again D is coming here. So don't you think this will throw a message here?
But combination of first name and last name.
Combination. Very good. Here the combination is BD, and here the combination will be FD. Now check this one. That BD is same as FD? No, it is not same. Then it will accept it. Okay. Let me run this. One row inserted. Let's check if it is inserted or not. Correct. Inserted. Hope this is clear now. Any question, guys, on this primary key? Different scenarios we have seen. Then we have seen the concept of composite primary key, then null, not null, and all those things. All this is clear now.
Tanvir, is it any limitation for primary key? In one particular table, we can have only one primary key, or in composition primary key, how many columns we can include in both the cases?
Okay. In a table, you can have more than one primary key. That is possible. Okay. In a table, you can have more than one primary key. That is possible. But while defining your table, while creating your table, you have to assign only one primary key. Okay. I mean, here I have assigned first name and last name as a primary key. So you should not assign employee ID as well as a primary key. Okay, are you getting my point? So you should assign only one as a primary key. Like in a country, there is only one prime minister. There is only one president. So it doesn't mean that that particular person is the only capable person for the prime minister. There might be someone else who can act as a prime minister. There might be someone else who can act as a president. Correct? Similarly, in a state, there is only one chief minister, but there might be some other one who can act as a chief minister. But there will be only one. That is why in a table, if you are going to assign it, if you're going to design it, there will be only one primary key. First thing. Second thing, if there is no single column which is satisfying all the conditions of a primary key, then what I have to do? Then check for two columns combination. If two column combination is satisfying the conditions of a primary key, make them as a primary key. The example which I have shown you right now, here I've taken first name and last name as a primary key. Okay. Now, Tanvir, I don't have two columns which is acting as a primary key. What shall I do? Please check three columns combination. Still it is not working. Please check four columns combination. There is no restriction on that. You can go to whatever level you want. Okay. But these things are determined when your project, when you are designing a table for the very first time, and you have to discuss with your business stakeholders that what all data will be coming in that table. Check with them that which column, which data will be unique, which will duplicate, and all those things. And as per that, you can make it a primary key. So a technical architect, he or she doesn't have that flexibility to design a primary key. He will check with the business stakeholders because the data is coming from the source team, no? Your business your technical architect or software developers, they're not giving the data. The data is coming from the source team. So you have to analyze the data, and from the data, you have to understand that which column can behave as a primary key. Okay, and then you have to design it. Have I answered your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, fine. Then, sorry, what I was trying to cover in condition. Okay, let's cover this. Is null, is not null, and will. We have 15 minutes left. I'm trying to get some more data from here where null records are present. Okay, take this example. It's not in view. Okay, now I'm trying to create a new table, a student. And this is student table. There's a few records I have inserted. Okay, before this, describe a student. Okay, in this table, if I will ask you, which one is primary key?
Name.
Name is a primary key. No, don't look at the data. Don't look at the data. Okay, don't look at the data. Just from this table structure, tell me which one is primary key.
Marks.
Marks. How you can tell that marks is a primary key?
It's an integer column.
No, no,
None of the
none of them
columns
is
is
a primary key, because if I'm showing you the table structure, okay, and from that if I'm asking you that, okay, which one is a primary key, then you have to check for this null condition. Here it is blank. If it is blank, it means it can accept null values. Okay, it can accept null values. So if this can accept null values, will it be considered as a candidate for primary key?
No.
No. That is why name and marks, they both are not a primary key here. They both are not a primary key here. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if that's the case, then you can ask one more question. That, okay, Tanvi, that is fine. You are telling that this null is blank, so it can accept null values, and that is why you're telling that this is not a primary key. That is fine. But if I'm looking at this data, the name, all the records are unique. All the records are unique. No null is present here. So now can I tell that name is a primary key for this table? Yes or no? Based on the
Yes.
data? Correct. So based on the data, you can tell that, okay, this is a primary key, but that is incorrect. I will tell you how it is incorrect. See, I inserted one more record. Okay, I'm showing the data. Now tell me, name is a primary key or not?
No.
No.
No. So from this, what I'm trying to make you understand is, based on the data, don't tell that, okay, this is a primary key or not, because you never know down the line, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, after 1 month, what kind of data you will be receiving from the source team. You are not sure, right? And maybe some duplicate will enter, and you are under the perception that this is a primary key, and you have designed everything based on that. Correct? So whenever someone is asking you that, okay, in this table, what is your primary key? So don't go with the data, check the structure. Tell them that, okay, hold on, I will check the structure, describe the table name, okay, and then check this constraints. So if it is blank here, no sir, we don't have any primary key in this table. If someone is trying to confuse you that no, you have this data unique, you can see, no, your name is unique A, B, C, D, E, F. No, you have name as a primary key. So no, I will not go with this data. I will check the structure. Is this clear, guys?
Yeah, Tanvir, actually in the real time scenarios, so any customer related tables or any which type of tables who cannot define primary keys, like this students stud, table.
Your voice is breaking. Yeah.
No, actually in the real time scenario, like see, you mentioned primary key is not defined in the stud table. Okay, so in the real time scenario, which table like customer information or in the banking domain or any supply chain management, which tables designed as a without any primary key?
Correct. Very good.
Why? Because generally in the real time scenarios, one table is again interfere with another tables or another
Perfect.
forms or lot of interconnected scenarios will be there. But
Mhm.
without any ideal isolation tables are there in the real time scenario. Like, did you get what I meant to say?
I got you, Prasad. Yeah, I got you, Prasad. So Prasad is telling that, okay, Tanvir, you are telling that here in the student table, we don't have any primary key. Okay, fine, perfect. But in real scenario, that is not possible. Whether I'm working on supply chain management or any HR database or banking transaction database, there must be a table which will be having primary key. Why? The reason is multiple other tables, they all are joined. And if you don't have any primary key, then how you can join and how you can fetch the data? So first of all, is this your question, Prasad?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Very good. So Prasad, you are totally right that in a project, live project, or any other system, banking system, supply chain management system, HR database, transaction database, e-commerce site, there must be means whatever tables you are working, each and every table ideally must be having a primary key. I agree, because if primary key is not there, then your dimension and facts you cannot join, you cannot fetch data. You can join, but the data will be duplicate data, and then ultimately you will be making some wrong information. That is correct. So ideally, I'm talking ideally each and every table must be having primary key. Okay, but this is not mandatory. Please make a note of this point. This is not mandatory. You see, ideal is different thing, mandatory is different thing. Correct? No, ideally you should wear shoes while riding two-wheelers. Correct, but that is not mandatory in many states. Okay, so ideally there must be a primary key in each and every table, but if it is not there, you cannot reject that table. Now the question is that Tanveer, if any particular table is not having primary key, then how I can join with some other tables? Correct. Suppose let's take the example of this. Suppose I have a student table. I have the student table and this ID, and this is name. ID is 1, 2, 3, 4. The name is A, B, C, D. Okay, and then I have a marks table. I have ID and marks 1, 2, 3, 4. Marks is 20, 40, 50, 10. So from these two tables, if I will ask you, everyone, please concentrate on this. It's a very important concept. If I will ask you that ID 1, okay, or else if I will ask you that a student name A, how much marks he has scored? How much marks he has scored?
20.
20. Because based on the ID, you have joined with the marks table and you told, okay, ID 1, marks is 20, correct? A student C, how much marks he has scored? 50, correct? Okay, very good. Now, a student D, how much marks he has scored? Confused? Correct? And I think this is the question, Prasad.
Yeah.
Correct? Because
Yeah,
here in this,
what I mean to say, see, actually, without any primary key defined tables, or just for the purpose of storage only, or
no. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm coming on that. Just 2 minutes, okay? I'm coming to that. So now if I have ID 4 repeated here, then if I'm asking that is student name D, how much marks he has scored? Tell me 10 or 30. Confused, right?
Yes.
Because here we have two IDs. Now what to do with this? This scenario happens, and that is what I told you. This is the concept of SCD type 2. Okay, I will tell you what this is. Suppose the first time he has given result pass, fail, pass. Okay, suppose the first time when this student ID 4 has given the exam, he has scored 10 marks and he was passed, sorry, failed. Then again he has appeared for compartment and he has scored 30 and he is passed now. Okay, but manually we can understand that, okay, this is the active record and he has scored 30. But if someone technical guy he is joining, he will get confused that, okay, how much marks he has scored. So in this case, you have a concept of surrogate key. Okay, SK, this is noted by SK, surrogate key. Let me add the name. What's the meaning of this surrogate key? That in those tables where you don't have any primary key, and you want a primary key, then you can use an auto-generated key. So this will be auto-generated. So this will go on increasing by 1. For every record, it will go on increasing by 1. So next record will be 6, next will be 7, like that. Okay. So now if you see in this table, Can I tell that this surrogate key is the primary key for this table? Yes or
Yeah.
no? Yes, correct.
Yes.
So now, because in this table, I don't have any primary key, and that's a compulsion because I have to store both the compartment marks and the pass marks. That is why this ID4 is repeating. I cannot do anything, but I want a primary key in this table. So in that case, I will create a new column, which is known as surrogate key, and this is auto-generated. Okay, you just have to, while creating a table, you have to make this auto-generated. So automatically, this will be like a sequence number. This will go on increasing. Okay. So now this is a primary key. This is the primary key for your table. Okay. But whenever you're using surrogate key, then you'll be having a concept of flag as well. Okay. If it is Y, this means this is active record. This is active record. This is active. And if it is not used, they will make it N, and this will be active Y. So you know that this is not required. This he has scored, he failed 10 marks. Now he's passed and he has scored 30 marks. So this is Y. So when you will trying to join this, what you will do? So now after this, you will create a final table, or from this, whenever you are joining, you will make a logic that ID is equal to this and flag is equal to Y. So if you're making that concept, ID is equal to 4, flag is equal to Y. So it means you are referring to this particular record, and for this record, the surrogate key is 5. Then you will use this surrogate key 5 to join with other tables. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Prasad, is it clear?
Yes, I'm able to understand.
Tanvi, that this flag will get created by user only, or
No, developers will create this flag. So in some project, this is known as flag. In some project, they will term it as current indicator, CURR underscore indicator, or something like that. Okay. So guys, there is no hard and fast rule that, okay, if I am designing a table, primary key must be there. No, nothing like that. But ideally, it is suggested to have a primary key in a table. Okay. But sometimes the data what you're getting from source, okay, you don't have any control. As a technical guy, those who are working in projects, you know that you don't have control over the data. So data, whatever is coming from the source, as per that, you have to design. Sometimes it happens that in your table, you don't have any primary key. Now what to do? So you cannot decline that, okay, no, I cannot create a table because primary key is not there. So even if you don't have a primary key, you can create a table. That's not a problem. Okay. But in those scenarios, when you want to join with some other tables, you have to create surrogate key. You have to create a flag, and then in that you have to mark which one is active. So if it is Y, it means this is active. Okay. And then this record with surrogate key 5 will be moved to the next table. Suppose after this, we are creating a fact table. Sorry guys, I'm not going in fact and dimension what it is, because this will come down the line. But Prasad, you have asked this question. That is what I'm telling you. So after this, suppose this is your staging table. Okay. And after this, you are creating fact table. So what you will do? So after this, the same record you will populate here, but in this you will delete this one because this is not required now. Now the ID is, you will this ID with this, that ID is 5. Now this will be joined with other tables that now this for this ID 4, the new ID is 5. Through this we can join. Is this clear? Or you guys are lost, confused?
Clear.
It's
Clear?
clear.
Okay, these concepts will come guys down the line. We will discuss more on this. Okay, if it is clear, it's almost 8:01. Okay, fine. So I thought of covering this null is null, but not an issue. This was my today's agenda. In order by is null. Okay, fine. But we have covered primary key, not an issue. Okay, final call. Any question, guys, on this primary key at least? If you have understood primary key, that is one of the very core concepts of ETL, database, data warehouse, ELT, whatever it may be. So primary key, any question on primary key, composite primary key, and where we are creating surrogate key and all those things? No question? Okay. Any negative feedback? I'm not bothered about positive. Any negative that then we speed, content, or do you think like I'm going in more detail? The primary key I'm telling multiple scenarios, multiple conditions? Are you guys getting bored out of that? The same thing is coming again and again, something like that.
No.
No, yeah, Tanvir, actually, see, why I asked the question, because so generally in the interview questions, people will tell about the
Correct,
domain
correct.
specific rather than the employer tables. So that's why
Correct,
I
correct.
asked. I think I guess all the people are experienced in their respective, at least some experience, maybe 3 years or 5 years or whatever. In the previous introduction, I came to understand. So that's why I raised the question.
No, this was a good question, Prasad. Very good question. And this is a practical scenario. It happens in project.
Yeah, practical scenario.
Practical scenario, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So about the depth of the concept. So is there something more I have discussed? Because the primary key I have taken multiple examples. Is it fine, or you want to just touch the concepts and we can proceed with that? What is your thought,
No,
guys?
I think that will not help, Tanvir. So the more points like interview, so interview point of view questions, the way now, and I emphasize more on practical
Correct.
tables, practical in the real time table scenarios.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
by explaining your surrogate key and these fact tables, now actually I came to understand. I done the ETL testing, but now only I understood what is the use of surrogate key now.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah.
That's great. You
Yeah.
got to learn
So this
something new today.
explanation will help more. Generally, we will do what the team lead or manager will tell to execute the queries or whatever the thing.
Correct.
The theory behind is we will lack.
Okay, sure. Okay, so just I was trying to understand, because here in primary key I have taken multiple scenarios and the concept. So guys, you want to proceed with this only, or no, Tanvir, you have told multiple scenarios, multiple examples. This is killing time, something like that. If anyone has this perception, please tell me.
So I think we're going good.
Okay, these examples are fine because I'm just trying to cover all the scenarios which is coming to my mind. If you think that no, this is more than enough, something like that, because different batches, different students are there, they have different requirements. Sometimes they want to attend some interview, they have very less time, and they just want to do some touch-based type of concept. So please, guys, let me know. Okay, so how you want to proceed? Okay. Perfect. I will share the recordings and all those things, and I will share assignment as well. So please work on the assignments and share with me. And one more thing, whenever you are sharing the assignment, okay. So suppose if the sheet name, if I'm mentioning like SQL assignment, and suppose today's date is 0902. So when you're replying on that, write the same. This you have to mention, and then after this, append your name as well. Okay, suppose if it is Prasad, so you have to write Prasad. Okay, fine. So thank you, guys. Okay, take care. Bye. We'll connect again tomorrow.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.